And we are back with another day in the market. And I made a call out on ticker symbol MU yesterday. It is Micron is the company. And if you entered that trade, you could have potentially made 2,316% in one day. Now, that would have been the most ideal situation off of a 0 days to expire call option. And you might be saying, Tim, it was in the money, by the way, but you could be saying, Tim, I don't play those. Those are really risky. And I don't blame you, even though it actually wouldn't have been too expensive. So I actually also just laid out if you would have done an 8 days to expire trade, you would have made $1,456 just in one day. And you might also be saying, again, Tim, I do the typical 30 to 60 days out. Well, 50 days to expiration, if you would have done an in-the-money call option, you could have made as much as $263 profit. So that's after an initial $250, which is if you would have put $250 in each one of these 0, 8, 50, and also 85, which I'm going to get into next right here. So 74% profit you could have made if you were 85 days out in one day if you had an in the money call option. Now, if you actually were just going long on it, it did actually end up 5.48% on the day. So how did I know to call this trade out? Well, let's just run through it very quick. So first of all, we have this market bias indicator right here, and to go long, you need the market bias indicator to be green. And if you're going short, you need it to be red, and you do not do the opposite. You do not short if you are above this market bias indicator and it's green, and the opposite is the case as well. Okay. The second point is you want the MACD line to be crossing above the 0 line. Now, it can be fully above the 0 line to get in. For example, right here, we had a cross above the 0 line, which is what these red and green arrows are pointing out. I just made, let me pull this up. See MACD cross. It just measures whenever the MACD line crosses above and below the 0 line. So you could technically get into a trade, like a long trade, after a bounce off of the market bias indicator, something like this, even though you're not necessarily crossing the MACD at that particular point. However, one reason why this was a really good call out and why I like using a stock screener to find these trades is the high volatility that comes with bouncing off of the HA market bias indicator as you're crossing the 0 line. There seems to be a lot of volatility when those point out. Let me just see if there's another example of like that with Micron. So right here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So the market bias indicator turned green right. Let me zoom in for you. It turned green right at this, technically this candle right here, but let's just be safe and let's just play it at this candle right here at 1447. Now, if you got into it, it would have done exceptionally well over time, but sometimes you will actually see just like a bounce and you'll actually lose profit a little bit before it picks up steam. And you can kind of see that it did that. It really picked up steam and then started to kind of die and started to go back down, started to lose a little bit of your profits. However, if you see something like this right here, where it's a arrow, which shows that you are now crossing above the 0 line on the MACD, above this market bias indicator, you can see a couple days later, there was a high amount of volatility right here, and it actually continued, and it even gapped up right over here. So that is where things are really good entry points right there for options, even spreads as well. But the options will really give you an advantage of that. And you can see that in the S&P 500 too right now. And actually pretty much a lot of the tech sector stocks, you can see where we actually turned green right here. We went above the 0 line just before this turned green, and we had that high volatility. Let's take a look at Apple and some of these other tech stocks to see if we can see that. See, that got in a little bit early, so technically, according to the strategy, you would have waited right here. What about Meta? Let's take a look at Meta. See if I can find a good one for you. Yeah, see, Meta all turned this Meta, you know, Microsoft. We can check out Microsoft, but they all seem to just be working in a very similar fashion. And again, yeah, so it looks like for the most part, all of these tech stocks, they turned green right before the market bias indicator turned green. But you can see how the volatility just shot up on these as they turned green, as they were going towards the market bias indicator turning green. So that is why I called out Micron. It was a huge day for profits for people that took advantage of that. So if you want to see more of those alerts, I highly encourage you to 1, hit the like button, 2, hit the subscription bell, and 3, hit the notification bell so that you can see all of my latest content. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thank you.